Right now I have to stop saying
Coming up on the DLLS Stars Podcast, it's the Brink. That's right. Dallas is one win away from returning to the Western Conference Finals for the third consecutive playoff season. We'll talk about that. Sean is here, as you can see on the screen. Luds is here. Sam will be here at some point here on the DLS Stars Podcast. Let's get it going.
Get it ready, boys.
This is the DLLS Stars Podcast. The Stanley Cup playoff coverage, all of it, is brought to you by Bud Light and by Happiest Hour. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Happiest Hour, your home base and the best place to catch the NHL playoffs and cheer on the Dallas Stars. Just steps away from the AAC, the ultimate spot with 50-plus beers and 40-plus TVs for all the big moments every single game day. Happiest Hour, your favorite spot for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And in addition to that, we'd like to remind you that this is the spring cleaning sale for all city DLLS merchandise, up to as much as 75% off, 30% off in the entire store. It is with some exclusions. Some of the new Stars playoff shirts are not part of the sale, but boy, great time to get some great merchandise. And if you're a diehard, you get 20% off all your merchandise plus a free t-shirt when you sign up for your first annual subscription. But check out and get some of those great DLS merchandise items that you've been thinking about. Now's a great time to do it. Welcome inside the DLS Lounge Studios on a Wednesday, May the 14th. This is the DLS Stars Podcast. We have Sam Nestler looking better than ever. Craig Ludwig and John Shapiro joining us.
Hellebuyck.
The catalog of drops for you Luds are incredible. As we talk about the Stars Game 4 win, the Game 5 coming up tomorrow night in Winnipeg, and all that implies, we are going to not just do our post-game show again, because that wouldn't be doing justice, but we do have some clips from Connor Hellebuyck and Nikolai Ehlers post-game that I want to play for you guys in a few minutes. But first, Sean, I wanted to give you, since you weren't on the show last night, an opportunity for just a few of your 2 cents thoughts about last night's game.
Yeah, and obviously, as Luds once famously said to our pal Sam Nestler, you should probably watch the DLS Stars postgame show because you learn a lot when you do that. But last night, for me, from my view of it, there's the Mikael Granlund story and everything like that. But to me, it was really interesting watching Miro Heiskanen look not like a 23, 24 minute a night defenseman, and that's one of my bigger takeaways. It was great to see him back in the lineup, and I think he's going to build from there. Jason Robertson obviously looked a little bit slower in his first game back, but I thought last night was a good lesson in how do we kind of define proper expectation for Miro coming back. Because I think when we all expected Miro to come back into the lineup, and Pete DeBoer even said it himself weeks ago of like, oh, when he comes back, he's going to be Miro, or he's probably going to play a lot. Well, first game, they go 11-7. He plays, 14 minutes, 52 seconds, something like that. And it is and he looks like to me, he looked, at Luds, you used the line in our text, he looked a little bit like you out there. And I jokingly said 2-time Stanley Cup champion. And no, you corrected me. He wasn't cutting. His knees, he definitely looked like a guy who was only just under 4 months away from having knee surgery. And I go kind of going forward in this series, and I think about it of like, what is a fair expectation and a realistic usage for him as that knee gets going, and how do we kind of try to gauge that? And that's my big thing, because obviously Miro had the assist on the power play. Having 14 minutes of him is better than having 0 minutes of him. But what is the best way to put expectation on this? Because to me, he does not look like he can do 23, 24 minutes of Miro hockey right now. So how do you get there, and is it something you can actually build up? And I'd be curious to hear Lud's thoughts on that.
Well, what do you
now
want me
it's
to
just
say? I
on the
mean,
screen.
John's over here screwing around with the speaker. I couldn't hear half the things he was saying.
Did you hear what he said just now?
Yeah.
Okay.
How on earth could you not
John
hear
about
that,
Miro
Lance?
at 23 minutes? Yeah, no,
Well, just had to build up toward that and what your
Yeah.
expectations are for right now.
I don't know exactly what everybody thinks, but Miro was not Miro, but I don't think we expected him to be Miro. You know, it's one thing to have an injury and then step into, let's say, game 60 in the regular season versus stepping into the middle of the second round. So there's the first thing. But his straight ahead skating looks fine to me. I mean, I don't know if the explosiveness is all there, but where I notice things is when he was transitioning and trying to cross over at times. And then also the other thing is a couple puck plays where you never see the puck fumble off of Miro's stick. But again, that's timing about how fast the game is, because I talked about the practice. He's practicing and going through contact. Yeah, right. But the practice rate and speed is nowhere close, obviously, to what the playoffs is. And so pucks that he may have been picking up in practices in the corners on dump-ins where they work on breakouts and things like that, and maybe they have a forechecker or two. It's like lightning speed out there, how it happens. So that's just a timing thing that's going to come for him. He's a world-class player. So how quick will the pivoting and things like that come? Because I will tell you this right now, coming out of that game, and if I'm Winnipeg coaching staff, besides talking about your starting goaltender, I would be talking about putting pucks into that guy's corner. I would say, you know what, number 4 is a great defenseman, but we're going to make it difficult to him. We saw how turning to go get pucks every once in a while, we would want to make it a little difficult on one of their best players.
And to that point as well, I think when it comes to Miro got hit 7 times last night, or that was the official count. I think the Jets had 43 hits, and they had 7 on Miro. Typically, Miro is he does take some damage. It's the nature of a guy who touches the puck a lot, but I would be hard-pressed to find another game where Miro played 14 minutes and took 7 hits. That's something where part of that is the Jets' mentality of going after him, and that's something that I'm sure will ramp up even more so in Winnipeg. But it's something as well with Miro where there's, as you said, Luds, all of that contact in practice. It can't really prep him for all of a sudden the Jets deciding to put the puck behind him on the forecheck.
I was helping Sam get up in his chair, so I didn't hear everything that you said in the beginning, Sean. And I don't know if you said this because I was, again, like I said, I was trying to boost him up. Would you go back to a normal lineup, or would you stay 11-7?
I would go back to a normal lineup for. I think the 11-7. You got through my 11-7 policy and thought process was it's the insurance of, hey, can he go 3 shifts? If he can't go, he's coming off a major knee injury and everything like that. If you can't go, I didn't want to be down to 5D 5 minutes into the game. So now that he did 14 minutes, you can play him in a lower. You can play him lower in the lineup. You can manage his minutes smartly. I think that makes more sense to me to go back to kind of that traditional 12-6. You can still double shift Mikko Rantanen as needed, move him up and down in the lineup and make it all work. But I think the 11-7 worked for the last game, and that's what I would have done personally for Game 4. Now I think there was enough there to go 12-6 for me, go back to the normal 12-6 for Game 5.
Yeah, I think I would too, and there are a couple bumps and bruises, injuries at Oscar Beck if he's wherever. It may even be an option you put Brendan Smith in there. You know what I mean? Because it's still similar to getting the minutes for Rantanen and stuff like that. But if you put Brendan Smith in there and for some reason something happens where someone's got to leave, you're not down to 5D.
Is there I want to ask Sam
about, and that's not fair to him either because he hasn't played in 4 months.
That's exactly my point. Is there any trust in Brendan Smith right now and fair to the player because of the fact he hasn't played since the regular season?
Well, there would be, but what's the alternative? Let's again, I'm not going to use Miro. Let's say there's another defenseman that goes down. What's the alternative? Play with 5, and one of them is on a leg and a half. No. I'm talking about you start the game with Brendan Smith in the lineup is what I'm saying.
Assuming you have him lined up as a forward.
Yeah, he would be he'd be lined up as a forward for me because it doesn't really I don't think it changes Pete's idea of being able to move Rantanen around and put him on with guys down there. Because if Brendan Smith only plays 6 minutes of the game, he only plays 6 minutes in the game.
Right.
But again, it's not fair to him either coming in the middle of the playoffs either. But I just think it's an option knowing that, well, if something does happen, we want to go to our 12-6, maybe because are you going to put in Bork or is Beck okay or Black? Who's going to be that guy?
It depends on which one they want. But Sam, you were at the airport just now talking to Pete before the team flew out, and this got brought up. Is you tweeted out? Would you share with the viewers?
Yeah, I asked Pete. That was the first thing I asked, was how he liked the 11-7. He said, I really liked, obviously, the Miro thing. He talked about it last night. He liked the fact that he only played, 15 minutes. Liked that they could kind of adjust it, basically put him in every other shift and see how he felt. But the other thing he liked that was kind of a secondary was he really liked that Robertson got his most time since he's returned. Wyatt Johnston got more ice time. Granlund got more ice time, which obviously worked out in the Stars' favor. So for me, just judging from talking to Pete all year, the way he answered that question, I think they're going to do it again. I asked him, is this an option for Game 5? And he said, absolutely. I really liked what I just said. He enjoyed it. He liked how things worked out for them. He said they haven't made any firm decisions, but it almost felt to me like he kind of gave it away that they were going to do it again, and then wanted to make sure he said, we didn't make any decisions yet, just in case to not give it away. But that's a kind of a little bit of a guess, but from the way he answered the question, I would not be surprised if they went with it again.
So Maverick Bourque feel a little bit like Nils Lundqvist then?
Probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, but he's behind a knock on wood healthy depth chart right now.
Yeah.
And Blackwell and
if there's a spot available, and you know what I'm saying, that again,
I think he's the third option of the forwards, though. I think it's
Yeah,
Beck
I think
and Blackwell are a step ahead of Bourque in terms of who they pull.
Yeah, I'm just saying if Beck is hurt, and there's a hole
is there any
there,
reason to believe Beck is hurt?
The only thing I know about is that the injury he had in Denver.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything since.
I would think that would be it, and if it is, have anybody? No one knows, right?
Yeah,
but I have a guess what it may be, and if it is that, that's tender, And if you had to get, can we say shot up?
Yeah,
we don't do that stuff in today's game. If you had to get shot up to finish that game,
multiple shots, he told
right. So that meant, and then he didn't play after that. So it would tell me that it's something significant.
But they had Beck in this series, and then after losing Game 2, they went with Blackwell for a little bit more offense, and it paid off. And they won Game 3, and then, of course, won last night, Game 4. So even that, I think it's slightly different as far as the Bourque to Lundqvist comparison, because it's not like they went to the AHL to call up a forward, which is what they did with Petrovic last year. Right? But either way. Sean, you had another point on Miro, it looked like, or am I just misreading?
Two ads. One, Maverick Bourque has made the mistake of the 2 games he played in the first round, they lost, and hockey coaches are overly superstitious and connect to, well, I played this guy twice and we lost. So that's that was one of Maverick Bourque's fatal mistakes, was unfortunately being dressed for 2 games they lost the first round. The other thing that I just can't help but laugh at when it comes to he's happiest about getting Jason Robertson more minutes than before and everything like that. Who's the person in charge of who gets the minutes? I mean, I just can't help but laugh at that. For a coach that talks all the time about, hey, he likes his 12-6, he likes rolling his lines and everything like that. It's not like all of a sudden going 11-7 gave him permission to play Jason Robertson more. So I can't help but laugh at that. Where it's I guess if that's what Pete DeBoer needed to kind of rewire things a bit to be a little bit more open to getting more players ice time, that's great. But I also can't help but laugh at that because Pete is the one in charge of how many minutes Jason Robertson plays anyway. So it doesn't matter whether 11 or 12 are dressed. Pete's the one in charge of who's dressed, of whether Jason Robertson is 17 minutes, 19 minutes, or 16 minutes. So
when you look at, we're going to get into, I have some clips I want to play of Connor Hellebuyck and Nikolai Ehlers. We'll do that on the next segment. But when you look at what the step forward is for Miro, and you guys were talking about how he plays, how he ramps up. Is this, because of the short turnaround from surgery to this, and we still don't know exactly what it was. We know that he had to fly, as we found out in the postgame last night, to New York on Monday to get the final sign-off from the surgeon before he could play. And that after the game, Pete said he got through it. Are we kind of thinking that this is what Miro's going to look like more or less until he has a chance to do like a full summer rehab?
I wouldn't expect him to be Miro in like Game 10 in the regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it may get a little more sorer. I don't even know what you're supposed to say.
More sorer.
Yep. Yeah. And again, what happens if he takes a hit and, all that kind of stuff. So, but again, he's he's good to go,
Yeah.
right? I mean, mentally, the biggest thing is he's good to go mentally.
Yeah.
You
And
know
they
what I
did-
mean? There's no concerns. there
Pete
for him.
said today, I think Robert asked if there were any actual medical restraints in terms of his minutes and things like that. He said, absolutely not. He is clear to go. He actually used the word fantastic. He said the doctor said the knee looked fantastic. He said he was on the front end, nothing crazy like setting records like Sagan did in his recovery, but he's on the front end of his recovery window. Now it's all about how Miro feels. And he said Miro is on board with the let's go slowly and adjust it and not overdo it. But he said it's all about how he feels.
That's good.
Can I?
Good that,
let me-
it's
let
good
me
that
give
he's on that same page.
a quick knee thing, just because I've blown out my right knee completely and done similar things to my left knee. It's very, and this is equating this to Stanley Cup playoff hockey. I realize is a bit of a stretch, but if anyone's ever done knee rehab, the first time you get on a stationary bike and your knee can only go. You can't even do the full way around. You get halfway and you stop. You have to go back. The first time on a stationary bike when you're coming off knee surgery and all of a sudden your knee can go all the way around, it feels like the greatest feeling in the world. And all of a sudden it gets easier and easier and easier. And all of a sudden it's obviously this is a large gap of a divide when it comes to what the equivalency is. But I think a lot of that is like that for Miro, where playing every other shift in that game, getting up there. I think it's not that he needed confidence. He just needed, not that he needed the emotional confidence, he needed basically the human body confidence that, you know what, I can do this for 14 minutes tonight. Now, maybe I can do 18 in Manitoba tomorrow night, which maybe means 22 for the next game after that, and maybe 23 for after that. I think a lot of it's like that, of just getting it going, and where the next morning, does that knee feel great? So,
Up next, let's hear from the Jets post-game, some thoughts from Connor Hellebuyck that I want to throw at you guys, and one from Nick Ehlers on the DLLS Stars Podcast.
Just like your favorite team needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We all know the big box stores. You wander endless aisles, then somehow you end up hauling all the materials home yourself, looking for an installer and coordinating everything. Big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring today may have been doing sinks yesterday and stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, as simple as that, and they'll be with you every step of the way. It is a whole different ballgame with Empire Today. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home. Pick your flooring and the right color for your space and see how it looks around your specific furniture. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. DLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. Yes, you heard right, a $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/DLLS for full details.
Time for us to talk about Game Time. It is such a great time of year to be at a live sporting event like the Stanley Cup Playoffs. And so you need to use Game Time to get to those games. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite teams playing live so much easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. But it's not just sporting events. It's also concerts. It's theater. It's stand-up comedy. You can get those all through Game Time. They have wonderful elements on their app and on their website, gametime.co. But download that app, because that all-in pricing, seat views, lowest price guarantee, all fantastic. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Hey, Luds, what time is it?
Oh, it's game time.
Hooah!
All right. Let's continue our talk about the Stars Game 4 win over the Jets, and then we'll do a quick look ahead at Game 5 tomorrow. Of course, we have a full pregame show and postgame show, so it's not like we have to do it all today. Sean, I want to start with you on your reaction to this comment from Connor Hellebuyck, who I'm led to believe from the Winnipeg media that he typically does not do postgame media after a loss, but he did last night in Dallas. And here's the first comment that he made. It was about Granlund's opening goal.
Their first goal is winner. Did you get a good, clean look at that? Or I know there was a defenseman right in his face.
I need to review it. I mean, his stick snapped into our guy shin pad, but I got a clean enough look. I mean, it was Just a damn perfect shot. Just above my pad, below my glove. I don't know. I need to review it. See it again.
What's your reaction when you hear him being very candid about it and saying it's just the perfect shot?
Well, first off, the audio didn't seem to match his lips. That was very weird to me. It looked like watching the audio and the lips. It was
in Japanese. We had to dub it over.
Forget how we screen recorded it. Whatever. Let's worry about the comment.
You're right though, Sean. It was rotten.
It was definitely. It didn't look like. I was wondering if this was like a deep fake because I was just. It didn't look to match what was coming out of his mouth when I'm very.
Can we play the squirrel drop for Sean, please?
Squirrel. Just seriously.
Focus.
I mean, Lud's agreed with me.
When has that ever been the standard that you want to jump over?
Yes. He sounds like Ben Bishop after a loss. He sounds like Ben Bishop after a loss, right? I mean, Ben Bishop was that way. Ben Bishop was the goalie who was confident and always said very similar things and was never really his fault on anything. So I don't want to get into the Stars throwing rocks, glass houses type deal because the Stars had a goalie just like this in Ben Bishop before, who this was his attitude. So I do give Hellebuyck credit for giving credit to the other team, I guess. It is a great shot, and it's right out of the playbook that the Stars probably have had going into the series. Shoot on the move, get Hellebuyck moving, shoot high glove. So this to me goes back to as someone who's a proud goalie and he says he studies the game more than anyone or everything like that. It's the level of, okay, now fix these problems. Your game is so well rounded in these other areas. Why has this hole become such a big issue for you in the postseason? That would be my answer internally if I was within the Jets. Like, you're going to win a league MVP. That's great, but this can't be happening in the playoffs. So that's where I go.
Do you want me to answer this?
I mean, you look like you have something to say, so please.
Yeah,
John,
go. Yeah.
John, can you play that again, but leave the sound off? Okay, I know this isn't good TV, but don't just play it again. But I want no sound. Yeah.
You want to commentate over this so that our podcast...
Does anybody look, and people you're watching it, this dude's bewildered.
Oh, for sure. And
that's you don't need sound to see that he has no answer. Too. He has nothing. His body language, the way his head tilts back and forth, he's nervous. Like, I used to be one of them guys that reads people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, that you can go ahead, John.
Fortune teller.
But that's all you need to do is see his body language. That is why I said I wouldn't have started that guy last game.
I want you to see the next clip then, because this is his an answer a few questions later about his mindset going ahead.
What does your mindset have to be going forward with your backs against the wall like this? Yours specifically.
Just win one game. Leave it all out there. I leave it all out there every night. I doing my best, and sometimes it's a heartbreak, but all it takes is one little change, one little bounce, and things can start going our way. And we're a good team, so we can really rack them up, but we just got to worry one at a time.
He was very short with his answers. I'm not criticizing him for being brief after a loss. I think they were feeling it. He talked about heartbreak, but this is and I want to go right into this one, Luds. This is the last one because they were asking him about not winning a road playoff game in 3 years now because it's 9 straight.
Connor, you talked after that first round about sort of the weight of the world coming off, kind of getting over some hurdles as a team and individually. Do you feel now is the road record kind of one of those obstacles too, that it's become 9 games and it's almost you got to find a way to kind of slay the dragon?
Well, we're going to have to in order to get back in the series. That's all I'm going to say.
He doesn't have answers for the questions, and he doesn't have answers for the shooters on the road. Okay, so he's 0-5 this year on the road. He has a combined, by rough math, 787 save percentage.
That's fantastic.
Jake Oettinger, 969.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you need to say about that. But even by how he doesn't know how to answer the questions, because he's just, everybody says they're frustrated and he shouldn't be in there and all this other stuff. in a way, if we weren't involved in this series, I'd feel bad for the guy because he is a world-class goaltender, but he doesn't have his game together. And I'm telling you, for guys like Sean that are looking sideways and crooked and squirrels and everything else over there, I do feel bad for him. I don't want anybody to have to go through. I'm loving it because he's against us, or the Stars. But I mean, I want athletes to be at their best, and this guy is not at his best, and it's in his head. Maybe there's nothing in his head right now, and he wishes there was. It's
what I took away from last night, and that hammered it home even more. The Jets were super, super frustrated last night, over more than any other time I've seen a team lose a playoff game. You saw the players breaking their sticks in the hallway after with the whole. By the way, Granlund was not waving the Jets off the ice. I've seen that all over social media, like he was waving them off the ice. He did not. It's Granlund, let's be honest here. But the Jets were breaking their sticks. Scott Arniel was frustrated. Almost every question that he was asked last night was, look, we had 74 or 72 shot attempts. We played the right way. Kyle Connor scores on one of those 2 golden chances, and the game's totally the Jets are feeling not only the pressure, but the frustration boiling over. And I think the Stars do that to teams sometimes.
That was the answers. Those were the answers that Pete gave after game 2 when the Stars were shut out, saying, boy, if we get one of those good chances in the second period or early in the third, maybe we get momentum and it changes it. Ifs, ands, or buts doesn't get you in a playoff game. Luds has been yelling at me anytime I bring that up, going, you can try to silver lining this as much as you want, but if you lose a playoff game, it doesn't matter how great you thought you played. Now, look at this. I was given, and now look, I understand it's immediately after a playoff game loss and they're demoralized and frustrated. So I understand that that's sort of the tone, but I got massive Nathan MacKinnon after game 7 vibes. If you guys all recall, MacKinnon was, they didn't have their best defenseman. They didn't have their leading goal scorer. I don't know what else we could do. He looked completely out of answers. Well, here's Nikolai Ehlers post-game last night being asked about this sort of thing, and he sounds out of answers.
Has it reached a point, Nikolai, where it's almost inexplicable to go 9 games now over 3 playoff years without winning on the road?
If I had the answer to why, we would have gotten one at some point. I think that we've this year been really good on the road. And now we need to win at home and find a way here in what we hopefully make a game 6. So we need to find a way. It's as simple as that.
Now, make no mistake.
Is there an English version for that?
I'm not telling you that they're broken. I'm telling you that they looked completely bewildered after the game last night. But don't for a second think that they're not going to come out with a great effort in game 5.
Well, why do you think they're bewildered? Why do you think they're frustrated?
Because they've thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, at Jakeoettinger, and they can't solve him. And they can't solve this team.
I look closer to home.
You think it's the goalie?
Of course it's their goalie. Yeah, they're bewildered because their guy's not, because that's it. It's their goalie. They're bewildered, and I don't think they're pissed off and they want to ship them off. I'm just saying that where did our goaltender go? And no one's probably going to say it out loud. But you know what? There are times when someone may walk into the coach's room and say, "Hey, coach," and maybe it's not at home because he's good at home. Maybe if they win that game, and again, that's probably the wrong move. But I'm just saying, sometimes if your whole group feels like that, and I would be taking the temperature of the group, starting with your leadership group. Where are we at, guys? We saw that. We heard all the things because they see the clips, they read or hear them and things like that. Then Arniel's going to go, there's frustration in our group right now. We got to have a talk with either the whole group or individual guys. And if there's a common thing here, and if you guys are going to find another level to play differently in front of a different guy between the pipes, well, we're in a hole here. We got to win 3 games in a row. So if that's what it takes, that's what you do.
Sean?
It's their goalie's play plus combined with the play at the other end. I think there's such a great. I think you guys made an entire social clip about it where Oettinger makes the one save on Connor, and then the Stars go score at the other end. It's the emotional highs and lows of that for the Jets, where you're going through and you're getting great chances, and you're seeing one guy who is allegedly the lesser than your goalie, the guy who was his backup, and he's making these stops, and he's showing up in the toughest moments. And then you go on the other end, and your goalie is getting beat on shots by 50-footers that he could see clean. It's that emotional kind of breakage, I think, for the Jets, where you have this guy who was your league MVP during the regular season. And that's two things can be true. He was their foundation for the regular season. Now they've completely lost their foundation, and it's last time I checked, it's really hard to get foundation fixed on something. So it's not going to be. It's a tough spot to climb up when all of a sudden everything is crumbling underneath you.
Up next, let's talk more about Mikko Rantanen. Sean has a theory about his usage with the Stars lately, and we will keep going as we get ready for Game 5 tomorrow night up in Winnipeg here on the DLLS Stars Podcast.
What's up, Stars fans? Enjoying the game should be easy, so don't overthink it. What to wear? Easy. Just toss on that lucky jersey. Don't know what to serve your friends? Just pick up some pizza, grab some Bud Light, and stock that fridge up. See? Just that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Remember, drink responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Let's talk about Happiest Hour. We were there yesterday, pre-gaming before Game 4. It was really fun. It was warm outside, but boy, between their indoor spot, the AC and the fans blowing, the outdoor spot, the cornhole courts, it was packed. Tons of people on a Tuesday at 5 o'clock in downtown Dallas. What a great place to be. We had fun. We got to meet some of our DLS diehards. Luds was served a giant beer tower, and you saw the video clip. That made him a happy guy. Well, if you're headed to the Stars game, there's no better pregame or postgame spot than Happiest Hour. It's literally steps away from the arena. You can grab a beer, devour some apps, then walk across the street and catch puck drop. It's an easy walk, which we did, past the AAC back to our studio to do our pregame show. Well, whether you're pregaming, postgaming, or posted up for the whole thing, Happiest Hour brings the playoff energy with 40 TVs and a jumbo LED screen that turns game nights into event. Packed patios, skyline views, and a whole crowd of Stars fans to ride the highs and lows with. Rolling in with a crew, Happiest Hour doesn't just do apps. We do team happy-tizers. That's right. Talking Ferris wheel of wings, a jumbo pretzel, a nacho tower, and more, all built to feed the whole lineup, not just an individual serving. It's a group. Add that to a full menu of game day favorites, and you've got a playoff spread worth cheering for. Whether it's a weekday or a weekend, Game 7 or the offseason, Happiest Hour is our favorite spot. Check them out right down the road from American Airlines Center, and it's well worth your time. All right, Sean, it's theory time. You and I were talking about Mikko Rantanen, and of course, Sam and Luds and I were talking about him on our show yesterday and how he was being used, and we both thought this was something that should be brought to the show and kind of discuss this a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit about Mikko Rantanen, the Stars superstar, who had a pretty down night with only 1 assist.
Yeah, what's 6? He's only had a hand in 16 of the last 19 goals or whatever the stat is.
I mean, he's slacking.
It's not enough.
This is highly disappointing. But as I wrote this morning over at All DLS, and you should become a diehard to read Sam's work and the work that I put there as well, because that's fun and you get into the Discord and all of that stuff. Over there. One of the things for me that's interesting, just rewatching the game from last night this morning and kind of watching this series evolve and how Mikko Rantanen's game has looked compared to his game with Colorado last year. So Mikko Rantanen plays 23:52 last night. I think it was 23:52 around there, or 23:50.
I think it was 23:49, but we're talking about seconds.
Okay,
Come on, Sean, be better.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And the reality is that's the most minutes he's played for the Stars in a non-overtime game. There's an overtime game where he got up around 27 minutes, but even with him playing that many minutes last night, it's the most. It's still a full 45 seconds below his average time on ice in the first round of the playoffs last year with Colorado. And we've talked so much about Mikko Rantanen and being able to play these big minutes, to be able to get up to these minutes and to get up to the 23, 24 minutes, because that's what he was used to for so long in Colorado. And I think there's another element to this. There's a quality over quantity minutes approach that has developed with Rantanen. He struggled in Carolina at first, and he came to Dallas, and he had a little bit to get used to. But I think as a player, he has realized how his game, by sacrificing those 3 to 4 minutes per night, by not having to save his game for 23, 24 minutes, he can make those 19, 20, 21 minutes that much more effective. And I think I don't want to say he ever wasted shifts or anything like that, but when he was playing with Colorado, he's on the first line. You know that third period of a close game, he and Nathan McKinnon were taking every other shift. That was the reality. So there's something that comes to playing with that. You have to understand how your body is gonna respond, how you're going to be able to manage that. He is at a spot where his game management is now managing better for how do I attack 16, 17, 18, 19 minutes as opposed to 24, 25 minutes. And I think he's getting more out of those overall minutes early, which has led to his impact. I mean, he's played less. He's playing 5 less minutes per game right now than he was last year. And he played 11 playoff games with Colorado last year. He's got more points than in the exact same amount of playoff games he has this year. It's just, I think it's a really cool thing to notice about a player who has been doing so many cool things, to see how he's doing it, where he's doing it with this in this quote unquote diminished role when it comes to how much time his skates are on the ice.
What are your thoughts about both of you? It doesn't matter whoever wants to grab this, about Mikko maybe embracing his minutes have gone up in that game last night, but maybe attacking a shift a little bit more, knowing that he's playing a few minutes less than he did with Colorado.
Yeah, I think one thing for me, I think it's great. I think it's a good way to look at it, to see that, it just makes sense to look at the same way where he's playing fewer minutes. You're thinking, okay, he's probably more rested for when he does get out there. But the other way of it is a good way to look at it. And I think the most impressive thing for me is that it doesn't seem to matter who he goes out there with. They put him out there last night. I think he played with every single person. I'd look down and think, okay, I think I finally figured out how they're rolling these lines. They're going to do this, and then he'd come out there with Dodonov and Steele. I'm like, what the heck is that line? It doesn't make any sense.
Because we saw him rolling out with Johnson and Robertson as the second option.
I thought maybe they would just do that as like, these are your 2 lines, basically, and then when you need a break, we throw someone in there. But it just seems like whoever he goes out there with, we saw him score. I think one of his Game 7 goals was with Steele and Beck, I think it was out there with, and then he's scoring out there with Granlund and with Hintz. It blows my mind that you can go out there, because I know these are professional hockey players, and I know that defenseman pairing people always tell me that it doesn't really matter who they're playing with, and that could be true on a game-to-game basis. But to go out there and play with just completely different style players every other shift, it just shows the skill, the hockey IQ, and everything that Rantanen has. And I think, I can't remember if it was Robert or someone else said that they asked him how he felt, and he said he loves playing with those fourth-line guys because it's just simple hockey. He knows they're going to go out there, they're going to put the pucks in the areas, they're going to go to the net, and then he can go out there with Rope and Granlund and Johnston and know that they have a little more playmaking ability. And the other side of that is for Steele and those guys, they get to play with a superstar that normally they wouldn't get to play with. And they're getting
elevates their group.
Yeah, elevates the group, gets a little more offensive, and gives them chances they don't have. So agree 100% with Sean, but I've just been impressed with both sides, the way that Rantanen's adjusted to everyone he's playing with, and the way that the lines have adjusted when he jumps on there.
I think sometimes it has to do with who's on the ice on the other side too.
How so?
Well, because you players from teams that aren't as well playing in certain areas of the ice and aren't as physical or don't track back as hard. And so, as you guys said, now it's basically saying, Rantanen, I want him out against those 2 guys right there, because they ain't going to do nothing to stop him, or he's going to have success against these 2 guys. And I agree with when you're saying with Rantanen, because it's different. When Rantanen goes out there with, let's just say it's Steele and Beck, there's going to be more ice back here because they're going to drive to the net. And so he'll find a hole. And he's just a smart hockey player. He's obviously well equipped to be one of the best players in the NHL, but he's got a brain on him that knows where, who, what players are out there. Who do I play against? Where are the areas? Because when I play with this guy, when I play with Tyler Seguin, Tyler's probably going to be back here a little bit more. And so I can jump into this hole. And with Matt Duchene, he likes to do this stuff, so I come into here. I just think it's taken time for him to adjust to the people that he's playing with, not just as lines, but individuals, the system, the pace of how this team plays against maybe something else that he's used to. The hockey IQ is off the chart.
Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect example. You just said that they go to the net. That I think the first goal he scored in Game 7 was Steele and Beck
crash the net. And he comes in from behind.
He took 4 or 5 extra seconds knowing he was going to have that space.
And he knows that these guys are heat-seeking missiles, right? And that's the way, like a Tanev, for instance. So if Scheifele was out there with Tanev, that dude's going right straight to the net. And somebody else. And so there'll be more space back here. I'm not going to try to go in and squeeze a pass across the crease because these guys bring defensemen to the goaltender. So the space is out here. And if someone's got like one of those two guys, Steele, Beck, or whoever, they're going to take the puck to the net. So you know what? There's probably going to be something laying around there when they're done with it. Sometimes there's bits and pieces of the puck because they're chopping it up on the way. But regardless, he's just a guy that when he steps on the ice, he understands who he's playing with, and it's taking him time to realize their characteristics and how they play the game.
Is that just a split-second thing for someone as smart as him?
Yeah.
Like, is he just looking, hey, I'm going stealing back, I know how to play?
So I'm always amazed at the Heiskanens, the Harleys, all these kind of defensemen, like where I would have again, it's not a good example. When I have the puck, it's like off my stick right now. and you're going, well, man, you had, the guy was only 4 feet away from you. I'm thinking, well, he was right on top of me. So they're able to slow the game down in their mind. In the world's fastest game out there, they can slow things down in their mind, and how Rupe Hintz does it, I have no idea. At the speed that he goes, but again, Rantanen is more, I'm not going to say he's an East-West guy only, but he dictates how he's going to play, but the players he plays against dictates how he's going to play too.
Sean?
Is it, Luds, isn't there something too where I know there's lots of coaches who say, I like duos, right? They're like, hey, I like two guys that play together, and then it's really that third part can be a key chemistry cog, but really it's about building a duo. And isn't this also a bit of a reflection of how well the Stars lines have been built duo-wise, where you've got guys who, when Mikko Rantanen gets put with them, their game's not changing. They're still playing their game that works as a duo, and it's just Mikko being willing to adjust to them. Like, that to me is something that I kind of think about in watching this, because you talk about whether it's the fourth line pair, the duo on the fourth line when they're put with him, or whether it's like Granlund and Hintz when they're with him. I know that's his normal line, but all these other players that they've kind of built that have this other chemistry where it's just like one other guy latching on. And I think Hitch was big about that, wasn't he, Luds? Where he really liked duos that kind of would build and allow for someone to fit in, and then Yuri would be there to fix it when they were broken.
Well, I mean, and that's what I mean. He knows exactly whatever player brings to the team or to the table when he's on the ice, not just with his other partner, but just himself. I really believe that that's one of the biggest reasons he said, I'm probably not the right fit here in Carolina. Because when you watch Carolina play, I don't know how many of those Duchesnes and Sagans and, them kind of guys, they have a lot of Hintzes. You know what I mean? That's probably not a fair, but I'm talking about straight line guys.
Yep.
That's the way they play. And they have success doing it their way.
Yep.
It's very military run if you want.
It's also a bit frantic too, whereas he can slow it down and he can play multiple styles.
But what it does is it really does keep, and it'll be interesting when Dallas plays Carolina in the finals here to see how they pin other teams in their zone. I mean, when they forecheck, it is difficult to get the puck and because you're working hard to get it out. Because once one guy's on you, and if you shake him, there's another guy coming to you. So that's just the way Rod has his team playing, and he wears the opponent down. So when they do get turnovers and they start going the other way, their gas needle is probably on a quarter of a tank versus 3/4.
Let me ask you this, because we give Rantanen a lot of due respect for figuring things out the longer he's been with Dallas. But do you give credit to Pete DeBoer and his staff for, as time goes on, figuring out how to use Mikko Rantanen to his full potential?
Well, again, I think that's a no-brainer. Personally, I do. I think,
but it has changed from the first game till now.
Well, no, but what he did is he found that when he's proven that when it's not Robo up there, that Granlund's a better fit for him on there for whatever reason. It's whether the three of them together. I mean, again, it's a trio that they like, and they're going to keep it together. Because I've been wondering, man, are you going to pop him up there for Granlund? Well, after last night, no, they're not going to. No, they're not going to change that. But I think they just know that they have a special player, and that player doesn't come around often to where you can go, we can put him there, we can put him there, we can put him there, and he's never a liability, and he's not going to be a deterrent to two guys that have chemistry together. So if it was like a Duchesne and a Marchment, for instance, or the other one's Tyler, whatever, we can put him up there too, and he can adapt to them guys if we have to. It just so happened that when they found the combo of what they have right now, it's like, okay, we're keeping that together, but we know he can play with them other guys too. And he's a moose, so he can handle the minutes.
All right, we have a lot more to get to as the Stars are having a Game 5 elimination, possibly for the Jets. Let's talk about that real briefly, and then a couple NHL news and notes here in our next segment on the DLS Stars Podcast. But first, let's talk about being a DLLS diehard. Of course, the first thing we have to mention is the spring cleaning clearance sale, which is available right now on the alldls.com website and all of the All City merchandise pages, up to 75% off on some stuff, 30% off the entire site. There are some exclusions. Have you checked out the Finnish Mafia shirt lately? That thing is absolutely flying off the shelves. That's not part of the sale, but boy, what a phenomenal shirt that is. I love it. It's my favorite so far. We already have had our second run of this because we sold out the first time. We're probably going to sell out again. So if you like this shirt, do not hesitate to get it today before it's gone and you have to wait, or maybe it won't come back. It's hard to say when they do another run of this. By the way, the Wyatt Johnston 16-bit is a really nice addition to that Mike Modano one we had. The Mikko finisher shirt, if you're a big Rantanen fan.
Wyatt's
maybe
birthday today.
We're going to get to that. But yes, I don't have any graphics for it, but I was planning on talking about that. There's also the Moose shirt. There's also the Jamie Benn captain one. Boy, lots to go from. And by the way, Sean, the shirts are not the only benefit of being a DLS diehard.
No, you also get access to the Damn Discord, or Lud's Damn Discord, that is as properly known, where there's a whole community of people that talk about Stars hockey. They talk about the other three teams in DFW as well, but I think they also talk about barbecue. They talk about music. They talk about video games. Whole community of people that you can join by joining right here below. And also, you get access to all of the writing. Sam puts his 3 Dallas Stars thoughts out after every game that you can get only on DLS. Only there can you learn about what's going through Sam's brain, and it's a fascinating trip. And you can also learn about learn a little bit about what I think after the game too each day. So join it, little QR code right here, and join the community. It's fun.
All right, before we get to NHL news and notes, I want to ask each of you guys about Game 5. So let's start with, actually, you know what? I always go to the Luds, but let's start with Sam. Sam, Game 5 tomorrow night. Stars could end it. Everybody's feeling pretty optimistic because of the 3-1 series lead. The numbers historically for Dallas, when they do take a 3-1 lead in a series, are excellent. But this is a team in Winnipeg that has lost one home game in 2 rounds so far, and it was against the Stars in Game 1. After a very emotional Game 7 win over St. Louis. There's no reason in my brain that we should expect anything less than the Jets' best possible performance and a very good bounce back from Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to see. And I think Pete talked about it today. I asked him about the tightness of the series because fans are the best. And I'm not telling fans not to ride the wave of emotion. That's your right to do it. And I used to do it as well. But it's crazy to see the difference between losing one game and going down 1-0 or going down 2-1 in the series. And then all of a sudden you go up 2-1 and you start talking about how you're going to play this team in the Western Conference Final and this team in the final. This series is not over. And Elliot Friedman talked about it on 32 Thoughts today. If there's any series of the 3 that are 3-1, this is the one that has the best chance of going the distance. And I think that's exactly right. If you look at the difference in these games, one of them, the 4-0 game, but the score was very different than what the game was, just like we could have said last series. The common theme with the teams that lose in the Colorado series and this one is they truly believed they had a chance to win the games. Almost every one of them. Maybe not one for Dallas in whatever that game was, Game 4 in Denver. But every team, the margin of error has just been so close. And that's because you're looking at 3 teams that realistically could have won the Stanley Cup, and only one of them is going to make it to the Western Conference Final. So for me, I just want to temper the expectations. I fully believe that the Jets are going to play their best game of the series, and it's going to look a lot more like Game 1 than it looked like the last 2 games. I would be surprised, and I know Stars fans are going to yell at me, I would be surprised if there's not a Game 6 in Dallas.
Lud, you picked Jets. You picked Stars in 5. And it's certainly a possibility that comes to fruition.
Yeah, but I agree with every word that Sam just said. I said it coming into the game yesterday that you better expect that this Jets team will give you their best game. And I think there was only one guy that didn't get the memo from the Jets. And I do. I thought they played a really good game, and I thought they had the opportunity to win that game at times. Jake obviously had a different answer for a lot of that stuff. But now, and again, like Sam said, Hellebuyck is Hellebuyck because he likes playing at home apparently. And so if you get him and then you get that game that they played in here from their 20 guys up front, or the 18, I should say, then they turn it up a little bit more. It could be a tough one. And then, the crowd, and if you get a lead, and, that kind of bears down. The thing then becomes like, if that's the case, you want Dallas to be thinking, we need to end this tonight, because if we go back home and that guy does, for some reason, have that game that is inside him somewhere, you never want to play in a Game 7 if you don't have to, because you never know what's going to happen in that game. And then, then you're back in their building. And I would say now if the Jets somehow won 2 games, you'd be crazy not thinking going back into their building that they don't have the edge in winning that series. So, for Dallas, you do whatever you do. Your coaches do whatever you have to do. And we're going in there and we're leaving it all out there. We leave everything we have, every ounce in the tank will be left in Winnipeg, tomorrow night.
Sean, your thoughts about Game 5 before we get to some relatively recent NHL coaching news?
I think it goes at least 95 minutes. I think we go at least 15-minute mark of second overtime. I think we've had 0 overtime in this series. We've had both teams are near the end, and I think we've gone that far. And so I'm saying it right now that we will have a double overtime game, go at least 95 minutes. And I hope to God I'm wrong and said it now and cursed it from happening. So,
especially considering it starts at almost 9 o'clock Central Time.
The 3 o'clock game and the 7 o'clock game couldn't go to overtime.
Yeah, well, the other, just go ahead.
All right, guys.
Can I ask him a quick question first?
I don't know. Can you?
Because we're talking about, may I?
You may.
We're talking about coaches.
Do we have this coming up anywhere? So I don't get
No,
off
you're
like
good.
Sean?
We got 9 minutes. So I sent you something today that I saw in Spit and Chicklets of Mike Madonna was on there, and he talked about the 99 team. He mentioned something about...
Was Mo talking like he had marbles in his mouth?
He was.
You see?
It sounded like he had his teeth out like Landeskog did when he did Spit and Chicklets. Yeah. But no, he talked about how...
Those are rolls of quarters in there. You got money everywhere.
He talked about how your team in that year was... You had so many guys. He used you as an example of people who had been through everything, so that sometimes you didn't even need a coach. He said, Hitch would start walking towards the room and guys would say, we got this and we can handle it. And I heard I think it was on 32 Thoughts that Austin Matthews recently did that. So I'm just curious your side of this with the veteran leadership and what you guys did to handle certain situations, whether that was good or bad.
You've heard me talk about Hitch before. I mean, I love the guy, but for different reasons than other people would. I mean, he treated everybody the same, like sometimes the superstars get treated this way and the rest of you get treated this way. And that's just the nature of sports. But Hitch was as hard and sometimes harder on the superstars than he was on us, which is very refreshing. But no, there were times when, there was one, I think, and Mo is usually leading the charge on this one. They would like to play a certain way. Not necessarily my way, because I can't play that way, but we're always playing these 2-1 games, and it's so tight-ass hockey and all this other kind of stuff. And, we got to get the puck in every time and all that kind of stuff. And so I would go to Hitch and it'd be like, Luds, go talk to him. I'm like, well, you guys know how this is going to go. But what I would have to do is I'd have to go in and say, Hitch, you said, come in, team, okay, here I am. Here's what the guys would like to do. And I got kind of shut off right away. And I said, listen, you said this is our team. You want us to take over our team. This is our team coming to you. And so what I did is I'd start with 6 games. I'm just asking, can we play a little bit more open, a little more freedom to certain guys? And I said 6 games. I already knew that wouldn't happen. He goes, what, are you crazy? And he goes, I'll give you a period. I'm like, a period? I said, you want me to go back with that? And, again, it was a negotiating thing. So anyway, we worked our way to 4 games. And it wasn't, I think it was like the second period. Guys came back to the bench and he was barking. And he was already barking and he was screaming and swearing. And we're not playing. And I just turned around and I gave him the 4. And he shut up. And he went on and he proceeded to go on. Now, we went right back to his way after game 4. But at least he heard, because he preaches about your leadership group. right? It's not just the guys with the letters. We want more guys in the group. And so that's the way he did. There was one day, I'll do it really quickly. One day, Eddie stepped out of the net, and it was just a warm-up. And Eddie steps out of the net, and all of a sudden I hear Hitch screaming, and I see him, and I go over to him because he started waddling towards me. I'm like, no, I'll come to you. Wow. So I get over there, and he says, he looks down, and I can't say exactly what he said. He wanted to know what Belfour was doing. And I looked down, and I didn't even notice Eddie wasn't in the net. He was overstretching in the corner. We were doing just a warm-up drill. And so I skate down. I skate all the way down to the other end of the ice. I lean over and look at Eddie, and you got to be careful with Eddie, too. I'm like, Eddie, what's up? He goes, again, I can't say it. Drill sucks. I'm like, well, it sucks. Okay. So I skate all the way down to the other end of the rink. Hitch, here's what he said. You go tell Belfour I skate back down to the other end of the rink. Now, there's guys in both corners all standing there like this watching Ludwig go back and forth. And so I go down and tell Eddie. Eddie goes, will you tell? So I go back one more trip to Hitch. And then finally, I just skated down to Eddie, and I said, Eddie, just go stand in the net. You don't have to stop a puck. You don't have to do a thing. He'll get the point. And he just looked up and he goes, that's a good idea. So Eddie would just go down. And then Hitch got all pissed off, blew the whistle, and changed the drill. So Eddie got exactly what he wanted. But again, Hitch started out a certain way, but there was a method to his madness. I mean, and again, one of the best examples is the guy that wears number 91 on this team right now. Tyler Seguin became a better two-way player because Hitch grabbed him and said, you're my guy in the defensive zone. You're not just going to go and be Tyler Seguin who gets us 40 goals. And Tyler became a better two-way center because he demanded that he was able to play. And then Tyler got more ice time because of it.
I was going to talk about the other three series, but we have gone longer on Stars and Jets, and that's what we're here for.
Just picturing Luds going back.
It's fine with that. So we're going to skip talking about Oilers and Knights and Hurricanes and Capitals and Toronto and Florida, which is tied 2-2. The other two are 3-1. I want to talk about coaches because it's happened today. Adam Foote has been named the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. He's been an assistant with them since January of 2023, so about a year and a half. And, right, that's about right. Maybe 2 years almost.
Yep.
And he replaces Rick Tocchet, who we are hearing is almost a done deal, but that he's going to be the Flyers' next head coach. So let's start with Sean. Thoughts about Adam Foote with the Canucks and the project they have there, and Rick Tocchet unofficially, but reportedly going to the Flyers, as we all thought that probably would be a good fit.
Well, on the Adam Foote thing, and the Canucks are a soap opera wrapped in a drama, wrapped in an enigma. It certainly feels, one thing I have heard about that, and the people in Vancouver have said, is that there's a certain defenseman on that Vancouver team that really likes Adam Foote. So I could only, and the GM has gone and said that this certain defenseman would like to maybe play with his brothers who happen to play in the Garden State right now. So I can't help but wonder how much this decision was made of, you know what? Hughes really likes Adam Foote, and we need to not lose this guy in a couple of years. So the Canucks have lost all benefit of the doubt. They've lost all benefit of the doubt. Everything is a drama because they make it more of a drama, and it's just kind of funny to sit here and watch and see it all happen. So on the Tocchet to Philly thing, it's the move that makes the most sense he's obviously beloved Flyer. They've probably had him. It feels like he's been targeted to be there since the minute John Tortorella was let go or stepped down, whatever the terminology we're using for that one is. And my one thought on Tocchet was, I thought he might. I mean, he's clearly got the coaching bug and he wants to do it. I was just wondering. He seemed pretty comfortable on the TNT desk the other night. I mean, there's pretty good money in broadcasting on that TNT desk, and you don't have to worry about winning or losing games. So I was wondering if maybe he might step away and go back and enjoy his time there. But if he's going to get back in, Philly makes the most sense for Tocchet.
Lud's a little under 90 seconds. Your thoughts about Adam
both
Foote?
Both guys are hard-nosed players when they play the game. Their teams will eventually take on the personality of the coaches. I think Toc wanted to get back out. His family is there and stuff like it. It's a no-brainer for him to go to Philly. And I think, but Toc is more of a teacher too. With Adam Foote, I'm not sure how he coaches, but I promise you that they will be a better defensive team, if nothing else.
The Ken Holland to LA is official now. He is the new GM of the LA Kings. We'll talk about that at another point when we have some time, but that's interesting as well. Does he keep Jim Hiller as the coach, or does he go to a different one? Sean, you have something on that?
I think I'm looking at the chat. I think Echo Spark paid $4.99, and I don't know if we mentioned that. So if we should make sure
we got a super chat. Well, we got to hit it before the end of the minute. So thank you for Sean.
Yep.
Echo Spark with a Heiskanen 99. Agree with Sam's comments, but also think the Stars have been adjusting to the Jets faster than the Jets adjusting to the Stars.
Agreed.
Those were Sam's comments, after all. All right. Big thank you to Bud Light and Happy Sour for presenting today's show. We have a pregame show tomorrow for Game 5, 8 p.m. Central Time. Stars at the Jets. Big thank you to Sean, to Luds, to Sam, of course, to our producer, John. I'm Owen. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out our website, alldls.com, and we will see you for Game 5 pregame tomorrow night.
I know you might find this hard to believe, but I haven't watched TV. I haven't read anything you guys report. Even Sean Shapiro, I don't even read any of it, because if he thinks I'm paying 1 cent for him, he's nuts.
We all silly like the mayor.